Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to show you how I set up my personal scorecard. So I have an empty 2017 scorecard here, and this is just an example demonstrating something I wrote about in my blog, which just explains how I like to keep stats on myself and how I'm doing on different goals that I've set. So what I do is just jump in whatever day I happen to be on. And let's say I'm creating this on a Thursday. I would go ahead and call this the month that I'm in. And I don't keep track on Saturday or Sunday. You might be a little bit different, but obviously just do whatever works for you. And the way that I do it is just group my days by the weeks here. And my ultimate goal is going to be to get a monthly average here somewhere. And what I like to do is I like to watch my weekly average grow as I go through each day, and I like to watch the monthly average grow as I go through each day and each week. So the first thing I do is I'm going to write some goals here. And again, these are just examples. Yours are probably going to be way different. But the idea that I use is that these are the daily habits that I want to instill in myself. And the purpose of this scorecard is to track how I'm doing at forming the habits I want to form. So the most important thing probably here is the weight that I want to attach to each one of these. So I like to say, okay, each day I want to get 1 unit of exercise. Again, that's up to me to gauge how well I did. I could put a 0.5 here or a 0.75. Usually it's a 1 or a 0, but whatever I end up thinking. So water, my goal is to drink 8 glasses of water. So you might think, okay, put an 8 there. But actually, I don't want to think of water as 8 times the importance of exercise. So I like to do something like this, where if I drink 1 glass of water, I might put a 0.25 there, and that's 1 out of 8. And that's kind of how I measure that. So if I drink another glass, I have 0.5 and so on. Usually I like to highlight the day that I'm on, just kind of helps me keep where the focus is at. And then the last thing I'll do is put a daily total here. So I'm going to add up the points for that day and divide by the total goal amounts that I have here, and format this as a percent. There we go. So as I add different weights, you can see that percentage is going to go down because I'm adding more goals for myself that haven't been done for that day. So my scorecard might look something like this. This is kind of overly simplified, but should do the trick. So let's say that I work on a little code, I do some exercise, drink some more water. You can see my percentage over here is climbing as I go throughout my day. And maybe I end up with something like that. That would be pretty good. So I got 90% there. I would consider that a win, definitely. Then what I would do the next day is just unhighlight this row and copy this row down. And oops, we get a divided by 0 error. If we look at that, we can see that the Thursday row did successfully get copied to the Friday row, but our target numbers here moved down, and that's not supposed to happen. So I can fix that by editing this original formula. And if I put $signs around the column names, that will form an absolute reference, which will not move to the next row. So if I look at the formula now, it keeps the same row here. So that's good. I can copy that on all the future days. And then I'll try to keep a weekly average running here. So that's fairly straightforward. I can just set this equal to the average of these 2 cells. So there's my weekly average. So let's say on Friday, I start by drinking a glass of water. I maybe go for a walk first thing. I can see this weekly average changing as well as the daily average. And as I go through my day, I can just kind of watch both of these grow. So maybe on Friday, I end a little bit early and I have 85%. So the weekly total is 87%. Not too bad. I usually don't try to think of these as, A, B, C, and so on. Mainly, it just helps me to stay focused. And if I miss some goals on one particular day, it hopefully encourages me to increase those things for the future days. So let's say as I'm starting a new week here, I have Monday, and I want to copy this formula. I can get my weekly average here. And as I go through my Monday, I can see that this daily average is going to improve. And right now, I'm not really, it is taking the average of all these cells, but unless there's a 0 in one of these, it's not going to affect the weekly average. And so I usually will just keep these daily averages empty, and my weekly average will not be weighted down by so many zeros in all of these columns. But again, that's just me. And the other thing I'm interested in finally is the monthly average up top. You can kind of weight these if you want, but I will tend to just make it the average of the weekly averages. The reason I said that about weighting is that this is just 2 days. And so I have a weekly average based on 2 days, where the rest of the weekly averages will be based on 5 or around 5. So if you really are concerned about that, you might choose to weight these different numbers, but I like to just average them up. And I see that my monthly average is 68. So throughout my Monday, as I'm doing things, I see my weekly average change and my monthly average change. And that way, every time I complete something, I can just watch the numbers climb and climb. So this is one thing that really helps me to stay motivated. And again, it's exactly what works for me, and that's why I do it. It's definitely going to look way different for different people, but I think the core idea is pretty helpful, just that you can really be aware of how you're doing, not just say that you want to develop certain habits, but actually measure yourself on how you're doing on those. So I hope that you picked up something you can use here, and thanks for watching.